What would your life look like if you really believed that you were valuable and that you had value that others needed? Hello. Remember where your identity comes from. God determines your identity. Girl, God determines your identity, and I know that you may know that already. However, we still sometimes have that tendency to let our identity be in other things, whether that is your career. Maybe you find your identity in being a wife or a mother. As women, our looks could become a big part of our identity. And I remember someone who had this beautiful hair. She literally shaved it off because someone asked her, who would she be without her hair? And that question wrecked her to the point that she wanted to shave her hair to find who she really was, to find what her identity was outside of her hair. And as women, I know that a lot of women take so much pride in the way they look. Maybe you're a glamorous queen. Maybe you take a lot of pride also in your hair. But at the end of the day, not one thing or one person can define who you are. Only God could do that. And God says that you are loved. God says that you are chosen. Even if that person did not choose you, God has already chosen you. God says that you are beautiful. God says that you have been made perfectly. You do not have a mistake in the way that you look. There is no doctor report that could determine your future. God determines your future. God orders your steps. God has the final say. And as you begin to really believe this and accept that as your identity, what God says is your identity, you will really be able to think differently about yourself. When I was younger in my career, someone that I looked up to as a mentor because they were in the same career field as me, I was just telling her about my personal life and kind of struggling with perfectionism, and she stopped me right in my tracks and said, you need to drop this now, because when you are working with clients, you cannot view them as a project because they are a human being, and you are taking so much thought into the outcome of your life and things going a certain way. But when you work with people, that is not going to be happening at all. You could pour out your heart to someone. You can do every single thing that you were taught in school and everything that you know to do, and that person could relapse. That person could make a really bad decision. If your identity is attached to what they decide to do, you are seriously going to struggle, and this career is not for you. That was years ago, and that really helped me to really strip away that perfectionism. But I think that is true for anyone who could tie their identity to one thing. If it's your hair, for example, what if your hair falls out, like with alopecia, God forbid? If your identity is in a relationship and that person doesn't hold up their end of the deal, if your identity is in a career and society changes where that career is no longer viable, is your identity destroyed? No, not when your identity is in Christ and God and who God says that you are. You are chosen. You are His. You belong to God. You have already been chosen. You have already been loved, even if you have not been loved by others. You are loved by God. And when you believe that, you will love yourself as well, because you will realize that God does not make mistakes. I have made several videos on boundaries. And why? Because God did not design you to be a doormat. You have value. You are so valuable to God, and you need to be valuable to yourself. So open up your chest, roll your shoulders back, hold your head high, because you have worth and value. You are precious. You are literally a creation of God. So this was your reminder, if you needed a reminder, that God determines your identity, not a partner, not a relationship, not your circumstances, not a doctor, not in how you look, although God did purposely pick your features and the way you look. And really, when you start to believe all of these things, you will walk different, you will talk different. People will be able to recognize a difference within you, and then you could tell them about the love of God. And answer this question: what would your life look like? What would your life look like today alone, if you really believed that you were valuable and that you had value that others needed? What would today look like if you believed that you had to impart something in someone today, that they literally needed you? You would carry yourself so much differently, because you would be a woman with a purpose. You would be like so focused, so intentional. And the reality is, that's not a hypothetical. That is the reality. Every day that you wake up, it's because that there is a purpose for your life. Do not let other people and their negativity try to stop that. Do not let circumstances stop that. Do not let a bad moment stop that fact that you have purpose. Okay? So this was my little reminder to you that your identity comes in God. You are so valuable, but I'm about to run to Whole Foods, and I love you. Bye.